encima va a quedar filmado. Descarga la nueva app MoneyGram Money Transfers. Recibe tus giros en segundos. Retira solo lo que necesitas. Descárgala gratis.
At the start, you get to pick a shelter freely. Once chosen, there is no going back. It will be your only home on this alien world. So be sure to pick the one that feels most comforting to you.
Banderito otra vez lo mismo.
Yo soy fan de la bandera.
bonita. ¿Hay buenas perspectivas de verla?
Está medio difícil.
Justo, por allá en el Vicente López está clarito, clarito.
Sí, no, está medio, No sé, pero faltan 2 horas, así que...
Sí. ¿Y sacan los telescopios como siempre o qué hacen?
Están ahí, yo no trabajo acá, pero están ahí.
Sí.
Para eso es la cola, la gente está haciendo cola para usar los telescopios.
Vayan a ver si aprenden un poco. Sí, hay que aguantar, no queda otra.
Y sí, falta. Nada.
En este aniversario, póngale la fibra óptica de Claro con 900 megas. Pídelo aquí.
Persil. Para esos momentos que manchan tu día, el nuevo detergente Persil Acción Profunda penetra en tu ropa removiendo manchas imposibles mientras limpia tu lavadora, evitando malos olores. Ahora también en polvo.
sea,
está muy
pero...
tapada, pero hay muchas nubes.
Ah, justo es por las nubes, ¿no? Que se ve como borrosa. Oh, sí.
Sí, mucha nube.
Oh, ¿de cuánto es tu lente?
400.
400. Ok. Wow, se ve muy padre.
Gracias.
Vale, gracias. No
Nada,
quería ver.
hasta luego. Buenas.
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo va? ¿Todo bien? Buenas noches.
Bien.
¿Eres de medios?
Soy.
¿Lo puedo molestar unos minutos?
¿Qué lo que me hablas? Gracias.
time and date, we look up into the sky. We bring you exclusive footage from eclipses worldwide. We take our mobile observatory to where the action happens. Hi, Stefan.
Hi, Anna.
We collaborate with experts and observatories across the globe to bring you the best view of celestial events.
And we ordered the Devil's Horn just for you.
Now, we have to say thank you very much for your images today.
We explain how and show why it all happens while answering your questions during our live broadcast events. Find your home and even more details on time and day. And subscribe to join us next time. Welcome to timeanddate.com. I'm Anna Buckle, this is Graham Jones, and you're watching an almost total lunar eclipse. We're here in Stavanger HQ, Time and Date HQ in Stavanger, Norway, and I can say almost total no lunar eclipse because total eclipse last time. Gee, I'm fumbling it today. But technically it's a very deep, dark partial eclipse.
That's right. So, Anna, we were here 2 weeks ago at new moon, and that's when we had a perfect alignment of the Earth, the moon, and the sun, and that gave us that memorable total solar eclipse across Spain. Here we are, 2 weeks later. It's now full moon, and tonight we have an almost perfect. We're going to see the moon traveling through Earth's shadow in space. We're going to see the dark inner part of Earth's shadow covering 96% of the face of the moon. So it's not quite a total eclipse, but 96%. It's pretty close to a total eclipse. It does mean that we will see the moon turn that famous red color, that blood red tint the moon takes on. So it will look a lot like a total lunar eclipse.
I love eclipses. They're very accessible. You don't need any equipment, you don't need to worry about eyes, you can use binoculars, you can use a telescope if you have one. So it's one of those really accessible eclipses. You just go out at nighttime, go out, and see it. And, yes, it is nighttime here, hence more fumbling about, but we'll get in the end. We're trying to wake up. But Graham, who can see this eclipse?
Yeah, so it's a full moon, and you can see a full moon from anywhere on the nighttime side of Earth. So where is that tonight? Well, Anna, we do have our moonlight map on the screen there in front of us. So on our moonlight map, we have that light area of the world map. That shows the area of the globe where the full moon is above the horizon at the moment. That means it's actually nighttime there. The sun is down. And
hey, you call yourself a YouTuber? This raccoon eating grapes has more views than you've ever made. Combined. Bruh, he didn't even use a ring light. Look, the algorithm doesn't care about your efforts. It never did. But VFly does. Real views, real subscribers, real engagement, no bots, no shady stuff.
The globe that can see the moon, the part of the globe that is light on that map at the moment, that is slowly shifting to the left. It's slowly shifting west, which means that here in Europe, we're heading towards moonset. We're heading towards dawn. It also means on the west coast of North America, we're heading towards moonrise. We can see that the very west coast there of North America, it's just outside the light area of the map, but it's slowly moving across, so the moon will be rising there soon. So North America, South America, ideally positioned for this lunar eclipse. Yeah, so that's the moonlight map. Anna, Anna, we have a bit more housekeeping here on the screen.
Housekeeping on the screen. So we've got our timeline here on our left-hand side. So we see that the penultimate eclipse has already started. That's Earth's inner lighter shadow already moving across the moon. And we've got partial starting at 02:33. Now these are really kind of flexible times. Like you don't have to look at 02:33 and like boom, now the partial starts. Like it's a very gradual thing.
That's right. Yeah, it's the Earth's shadow is kind of a fuzzy. It has this fuzzy edge. So as you say, yeah, 2:33. That's a rough time.
Yeah.
Start of partial. Yeah. Exactly as you said.
It's nice and easy. It's very different to a hot solar eclipse in Spain 2 weeks ago. It's soft. It's flexible. Ease into the night. We also have our UTC time here below us. As you see, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You see 2:16 UTC. That means 4 o'clock in the morning where we are. And we also have the location credit here. That's so Seville in Spain. We say Sevilla in Norway, so it's very confusing. But yes, and that's where our team. Real struggle getting to find a location without clouds. They actually flew into Portugal and have been driving to find clear skies, and they found them back in Spain when we were 2 weeks ago. So that's good. And they're on location there. Some beautiful images of the moon. We were supposed to have Ada Opera with us this time as well. She was hoping to set up our other mobile observatory here in Stavanger, Norway. We've got clouds. We're very disappointed. But we do have some old friends that
We do. We have a wonderful network of old friends across the globe. And by the way, Anna, actually looking at the screen there, we can really see that the moon is really starting to darken on that left-hand side there. So the eclipse has started. This is the lighter outer part of Earth's shadow that we can see creeping across the moon. But yeah, we're 15 minutes away from the start of partial. So yes, that darker inner shadow is approaching on the left-hand side of the screen there. Anna, we're going to get the bad news out the way first. You've mentioned the clouds here in Norway. Unfortunately, some of our partners are clouded out tonight as well. In Santiago, Chile, tonight was to be our 6th live stream with Thomas Puzia and his colleagues at the Institute of Astrophysics at PUC. Unfortunately, it's cloudy skies there. There'll be no stream from Thomas tonight. However, we will be having a chat with Thomas in our next segment. In the UK, we have clouds. We were due to have our 5th live stream collaboration with Neil Sanders, who runs Go Stargazing in the UK. But yeah, clouds and rain there. Also back here in Norway, Steinar Torvaldsen and our friends at the Agder Astronomy Society in Kristiansand in southern Norway. This was our 5th collaboration with them. But yeah, as you've said, clouds here in Norway. That's the bad news. The good news is we are working again with Angela Perez and our friends at the Columbia Astronomy Network. This will be our 2nd collaboration with them. And again, we can see from our map, Colombia in South America, ideally positioned for this eclipse. So we have feeds from 3 locations coming in tonight from Colombia. In Bogota, we have Angel and her telescope. We also have Maria Gracia Batista at the University of the Andes in Bogota. We will also be talking to Maria Gracia later on as well. In Medellín, we have
Este es un mensaje para todos los que están atrapados en un trabajo que odian. Me llamo David, somos Triple Ten. Venimos a sacarte de ahí, de esa oficina aburrida y de esa carrera que nunca realmente sentiste tuya. Nuestros estudiantes decidieron cambiar de carrera y entrar al mundo tech y empezar a construir la vida que realmente querían. Así que tú decides. ¿Sigues haciendo scroll o te animas a dar un primer paso?
One of the nice things about having these different locations around the world, Anna, is that we're all looking at the same eclipse, but we're seeing things from a different perspective. So we are going to see that here, for example, our picture from Colombia, our picture from Spain, we're looking at the same eclipse, but the Earth's shadow is coming in, looks like it's coming in from a different angle, because we're seeing different orientations of the moon from different parts of the globe. I should say we've got our fingers crossed for Canada. On the east coast of Canada, we've got Chris Calvin and Mike Powell. We've worked with them a couple of times before. They are co-hosts of the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. That's on Chris's Astronomy by the Bay Facebook page. Yeah, they've had to do some eclipse chasing because they're looking at a lot of clouds in East Canada. So they're based in St. John, Canada, but they are looking to set up at a new location at Moncton, which is in New Brunswick, Canada. That's about a 135-kilometer relocation. It's about 85 miles, but they are searching for clear skies there. Fingers crossed for that. Yeah, wishing them clear skies there. And finally, on the west coast of the United States, we have our good friend Gary Hawkins from the San Diego Astronomy Association. This is going to be our 8th collaboration. The one thing with San Diego, it's right there on the west coast of the United States. As we can see from our moonlight map, the moon hasn't quite risen there yet, but it will be rising soon. We've also got to wait for it to just get a little bit above the horizon so Gary can start to catch it with his telescope. Yes, coming up later.
This is crossed for Gary too.
Right,
it's
and
one of the any eclipse you've got a question.
Absolutely. So yes, as you say, it's fingers crossed. But hopefully, Anna, we're here. We're here for another 4 hours.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get some clear skies.
We are, and we're already looking at some clear skies. Excited about that because we've got one going for now. And that's the thing. Like, there's technical things that go wrong. There's clouds. There's all kinds of things that can happen. We know all the pilots that have been scrambling to make sure that we have some images for you. Yeah. So we've got Parcial. It's coming up in just a few minutes, but we can already see that dark shadow of Earth is
really starting to disappear.
So it's like I said, it's a very gradual, soft thing. So Parcial is coming very soon. Hopefully we've got moonrise in San Diego soon too. We will see when Gary manages to catch that moon coming up over the horizon. We're still in for another almost 4 hours. We're going to walk you through this eclipse, everything happening on the moon tonight. And next up, we're going to be talking with Thomas Buzia in Santiago, Chile. We're going to be consoling him with the bad weather. So keep watching. We're here on timeled.com. You can go there and check all the details about this eclipse. Don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube. Let's not miss us next time.
Flexi Digital Plus, la cuenta que suma. Tu dinero gana rentabilidad al 10% efectivo anual, sin cuota de manejo. Solicítala ya. Conoce más en bancofinandina.com.
¿A tu hijo le gusta dibujar y ver dibujos animados? ¿O tal vez le gusta jugar al Roblox o Minecraft? ¿Sabemos cómo convertir esas aficiones en habilidades útiles?
watching an almost total lunar eclipse here on timeanddate.com, and we're looking at Earth's inner dark shadow chipping away at the moon there. It's really starting to look eerily different than a normal full moon. And if you have a chance to see the lunar eclipse tonight, it's gonna, like, looking at it here on the screen, it might look like a bit normalish, but if you go outside and take a look, it's like the moon is in the wrong part of the sky with the wrong phase, the wrong time of the month. It all feels a bit off, and I think that's the best way to explain a partial eclipse. When you see the partial stages, everything's just a bit off, and you're like, what's going on? So if you have the chance, go and have a look, because it's definitely worth it. Its moon is moving into Earth's dark shadow, and is going to move into Earth's dark shadow until it turns like a rusty red color. But here in Norway, I wish I could go out and see it, but no, clouds, rain. And also in Santiago, Chile, there's clouds and rain. Fortunately, we have our live images there from Seville in Spain and Medellin in Colombia, making sure that we can see the eclipse happening. But alas, not for Thomas Puzia in Santiago, Chile, when we've got no stream from him tonight, but we are going to talk to him. So we'll get him up on the screen now. Hi, Thomas.
Hi there.
Hey,
Unfortunately,
Thomas.
without a stream for you.
Yeah, that's we're so sorry for you with this. But thank you for staying up late anyway to come and have a chat with us. Thomas, this is what the sixth time that we've collaborated with you on an eclipse live stream. So just tell us, had everything gone to plan tonight with the weather, where in Santiago had you and your team been planning to stream from?
Well, so our plan was to stream from the Foster Observatory, which is in the center of Santiago de Chile. So it's the oldest astrophysical observatory in the southern hemisphere. Wow. It was put there by the University of California Lick Observatories as the southern station when the Milky Way was cartographied in 1903. And so it's still up on the Cerro San Cristobal, which is a very prominent peak in the middle of the city. Of course, it doesn't do any science anymore because the city took over the glow of the sky, right? And the professional observatories moved to the north, to the Atacama Desert, where the sky conditions are much better. But we still do a lot of outreach and education up there. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful place to visit.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah.
It really sounds lovely. And this eclipse, you would have seen the moon turn red. It's a very deep eclipse. And how do you explain to people why the moon turns red?
Yeah, so there is the nice way, and there's the nerdy way, right? There's the poetic way, which is
we like both.
All the sunsets and sunrises, right, of planet Earth basically are visible from the surface of the moon, right? So I wish I could be at some point, standing on the moon and looking at the solar eclipse from the moon. That would be really nice. And the nerdy way is, of course, it's basically the light that plows through the atmosphere of Earth, is refracted and is being basically redirected on top of the surface of the moon. And as the sunset is red, right, so is the light that makes it to the moon in the end, and that it has this beautiful glow in orange, red, deep red colors, depending a little bit on how deep the lunar eclipse then is.
But we can't only see red on the moon. Sometimes we can see a bit of blue, like we saw in the lunar eclipse in March last year. You guys managed to catch the elusive turquoise band. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure, yeah. So this is kind of tricky to get, but it again depends a little bit on the depth of the eclipse, of the lunar eclipse. It has to do with absorption in the upper atmosphere. So there are different compounds in the atmosphere, right? So stratosphere, troposphere. The air basically gets thinner, and then different molecules are floating around and absorbing at different heights, different colors of the light. And so ozone is a very prominent molecule of like 20, 30 kilometers. And as you go higher in the atmosphere, the refraction is not as strong. And so the light that is basically seen on the edge of the shadow comes from these higher altitudes. And there you have a very prominent dip in like around 600 nanometers. And so that means you have a bizarre mix of colors, which is like deep blue cyan and orangish red, right? And so this mix, if you basically calculate and you forward model where the light goes, at the edge of the Earth's shadow, you see this beautiful cyan magenta transition into this deep red of the lunar, basically the Earth's shadow, the center of the eclipse. So this is really, it's a beautiful phenomenon. And this eclipse in particular is really perfect for taking pictures of this, since the band is very, like extended on the edge of the moon.
Wow. So for those of you who are lucky enough to see it, I feel so bad for you, Thomas. Yes. You to be able to the conditions are right to be able to catch the turquoise band tonight.
Yeah, right. We really have our fingers crossed for that. So let's see what happens there. Thomas, it's a lot of fun talking to you about the moon and Earth and eclipses. But regular time and date readers might also remember you from some stories we did last year about the interstellar comet 3I Atlas. So you and your colleagues were part of the big global effort to collect data about that comet. So just to recap on that, what is an interstellar comet, and what was our key takeaway from that visit last year?
Yeah, that was an absolutely spectacular event, having this interstellar object coming to our solar system one single time, right? And then basically being spurred into this frenzy of data taking for like almost a year. And so we learned a tremendous amount of information about the chemical composition and the makeup of a foreign exterior alien planetary system. So that is really, really our unique avenue to have the universe basically giving us a local laboratory of distant planetary systems. Imagine, this is like, it's a completely new field of science that opened up. An interstellar object is basically a comet, a block of ice and material dust from a different star, right? So as our Milky Way makes new stars, or stars in general, with planetary systems around, there is a little bit of rest material left over. And this leftover gets essentially kicked out by the dynamical interactions of the young planets as they move around the young star, and then scattered throughout the galaxy. And then they move around the galactic center for hundreds of millions to billions of years. And in this particular case, 3I Atlas, we think it's a very, very old object, meaning it's probably like 10, 12 billion years old. And during this journey, of course, its surface is processed by the environment, right? So all the chemistry, the chemical compounds that sit on the surface have a very particular makeup now. And then as this object travels through a nearby star, luckily it was our sun in this case, and we could observe it, it heats up. right? And so this heat releases the surface chemistry, but it also warms the interior and releases the interior, a little bit delayed. And so monitoring the chemical composition of the outgassing is really important, and it gives you insights not only into the surface history of how these objects actually get processed by the interstellar intergalactic medium, but also at the initial chemical mix, building blocks that the early protoplanetary disk was forming their planets. And so this is a tremendous laboratory, and we hope that 4I will come soon so we can get another sample of the Milky Way.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to catching up with you to talk about 4I when it
we can do that.
here.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. And and I mean, as you said, Anna, wow.
Yeah, it is totally wow, and it's almost like mind-blowing wow. So it's just fascinating that we can do this kind of science on comets, and you can actually find comets in our night sky map on timeanddate.com. You can also see what the eclipse will look like. You can also see what other planets are hanging around the moon, and we know that Saturn is hanging around the moon tonight. So if you're lucky enough to be out looking at the night sky, you can look for Saturn as well, fairly close to the moon. It's getting closer. It'll have its closest approach on the 31st of August. So Saturn will be hanging around in the same direction. So on timeanddate.com, there our night sky tool. We still have lots and lots happening in this show. We're going to have the blood moon coming up, and we're going to let Thomas. I'm assuming you're going to relax, lean back, and watch the moon turn red here on timeanddate.com, Thomas.
I will absolutely do that. Yes, I will continue watching you guys. Really
good. And the rest of you at home, please continue watching. Thank you, Thomas, for taking the time to talk to us tonight, and we will be back on your screens soon.
Mi trabajo es fácil porque uso Clica, así es como llevo el control de todas mis tareas. Empiezo vaciando todo lo que tengo que hacer en una lista de lista. Después, asigno una prioridad y una fecha de entrega para mantener todo en orden. Creo estados personalizados para organizar mi progreso exactamente como quiero. Me gusta agregar el campo de elementos de acción. Tengo a mis compañeros de equipo como observadores para que estén al tanto. ClickUp hace que el trabajo sea fácil.
Quedarse sin señal es una señal. Donde otros te limitan o la Fly te mantiene conectado, no dejes tu conexión en manos de cualquiera. Somos la eSIM más recomendada, con soporte 24/7 y datos ilimitados en más de 200 destinos. Consigue tu
Welcome back to timeanddate.com, and you're watching an almost total lunar eclipse. That means a very deep partial lunar eclipse, and the Earth's shadow is really eating away at the moon there in Seville?
In Seville, in
Thank
Spain,
you.
yes.
It is such a difficult word for us in Norway because we say Sevilla like they do in Spain. So yeah, we can see the Earth's dark shadow really eating away at the moon there, and some lovely detail on the moon's surface there as well. We've also got a second feed from Seville in Spain. I did it. That's from Constantine above us there, Constantine Picos, both from our mobile observatory there. They chased away the clouds and got some beautiful, beautiful images for us there. We've also got our timeline there on the left side of the screen. We're inching our way towards max. In a way, the moon is its own timeline for a lunar eclipse. You can really see what's going on there as well, but you can get like a UTC time, and as we can see, it's just under an hour till we are at maximum eclipse for this deep partial lunar eclipse. And as promised, the moon will be turning red. We're going to get a blood moon, and that is because, in effect, when that much of the moon is covered, 96% of the moon's surface is covered, we will get a red moon. And we get a question a lot, like 99% cover for a total solar eclipse. Is that good enough? And it's not. 99% of a total solar eclipse is a mess. You need to get yourself into that path of totality. But for a lunar eclipse, it's great. And why is that, Graham?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I mean, Anna, if we think back 2 weeks ago, when we were there in northern Spain, enjoying that total solar eclipse, because the big difference between then and now is that 2 weeks ago, the new moon was coming between us and the sun, and we were passing through the moon's shadow in space. And to really get the full effect of a solar eclipse, that's when you really want totality, because from our perspective on Earth, looking towards the moon and the sun, all the really magical stuff happens when the moon completely covers the face of the sun. That's when you get to see the solar corona pop out. That's when all the great stuff happens. Now, Anna, here we are, 2 weeks later. We have this alignment happening again, but this time we're in a different place. This time here we are on Earth. This time we are the body in the middle. We've got the sun on one side. We've got the moon on the other side. It's our shadow that we're seeing during this eclipse. That's Earth's shadow that we're seeing move across the face of the moon. So we're looking at it in a completely different way. And from this
Meet
perspective,
Cantabro. He doesn't understand our customers yet, but he heard you guys like partying.
Total eclipse. We're just talking about a little tiny sliver of the moon on the right-hand side will be left uneclipsed.
Cloud hosting for you, whoever you are.
Now, Anna, if you were standing on the moon, then you would notice the difference. I mean, right now, if you were on the moon,
dile sí a las nuevas Tosh caseras. Son sin azúcar añadida.
¿Sin azúcar añadida?
Deliciosas y perfectas para cualquier momento. Si es Tosh, sí a todo.
Blocking the sun in the sky above you. If you were standing somewhere on the right-hand side of the moon, then you'd be seeing a partial solar eclipse. You'd be seeing the Earth blocking some of the sun, but not all of it.
Wow.
Now, as we look at it here from this perspective, we can just enjoy seeing that, that dark shadow move across the face of the sun. And whether it's covering 96% or whether it's covering 100%, for us from here, it's not too much of a difference. But Anna, you would notice a difference if you were there on the moon. And if you were there on the moon and you were just in that little tiny slither that was uneclipsed at 96%, you would be once again, wanting to get yourself
into the path of totality.
Into the path of totality on the moon's surface.
But for this one, there wouldn't be a path of totality because it is a 96% eclipse. It's not completely total. So it's not the Earth, Sun, Earth, and Moon aren't perfectly lined up.
Right, yeah. It's that the path of totality doesn't cover the entire moon's face here. So when we look at the dark side of the moon there, we're essentially looking at the path of totality as it moves across the moon. The point here is, as you say, it's not covering quite all of the moon. There's that little bit of the right edge of the moon is going to be left uneclipsed by that darker inner part of Earth's shadow.
And also, what I also love about lunar eclipses is that they're much more accessible. They can be seen on the nighttime side of Earth. So if it's dark and the moon is up and the clouds are gone, you can look up and you can see the moon. If you can see the moon, you can see this eclipse. And that means that sometimes it feels like they're more frequent than solar eclipses, but they're pretty much same frequency, right, Graham?
That's right. It's really because half the globe has a chance of seeing a lunar eclipse anywhere on the nighttime side of Earth. Just to recap again, looking at our moonlight map above us there, that's showing us the area of the globe where the moon is above the horizon. So that's the light area in the middle of the map. So yeah, all of North America, all of South America have a good view of this eclipse at the moment, weather permitting. Once again, Europe and Africa, the moon is also above the horizon. But just a reminder, Anna, that this is a live map. The Earth is rotating, and that light area on the map where the moon is visible, that light area is slowly shifting to the left. So in Africa, in Europe, we're heading towards moonset. We're heading towards dawn on Friday morning. In North America, it's moving further into the light area. That means we're moving into evening. We're moving into Thursday night, and the moon is climbing higher in the sky. By the way, Anna, we should also just say that we did see earlier some of our first pictures from North America, from Moncton in Canada.
Yeah, we did.
That was Chris Cohen and Mike
we
Powell.
managed to chase out the clouds.
Yeah, well done to them for finding some clear skies. They've been doing some heroic relocation to bring us those. We also saw some lovely images from Medellin in Colombia. They are coming from Andres Torres. And also the moon has risen in San Diego. We can see that the west coast of the US is now in that light area of the map. And so we're hoping to bring images from San Diego very soon.
Yeah, because the weather is okay there.
Yes.
As well. So here in Norway, if the weather was playing along and we'd had that clear weather we had last night, we were talking to local press here in Norway, and they were asking, how do we see this eclipse? And for those of you that are on the edge of the eclipse where the moon is setting and the sun is rising, it is good to go out now and have a look if you have clear weather, because it's going to be difficult to see the eclipsed moon close to the horizon. It's going to be very close to the horizon, and it's much, much, much darker, as we can see here already, than a normal full moon in the sky. So if you're lucky enough, go out and have a look. You can come back here and hang out with us as well. But it is worth taking a look. And okay, we're talking about this red, but then Thomas also talked about this blue turquoise band, this blue band that goes that also we can see. And he told us that conditions are very, very good to see the turquoise band this eclipse. So tell us a little bit more about why and how and all the things. Thomas explained it, but we need things a few more times to get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we look at our image here coming in from Seville in Spain, we can see that there's this light silvery side of the moon on the right, and then there's this, dark black area on the left. It looks like that side of the moon has disappeared as it's got covered up by the dark part of Earth's shadow. In fact, it hasn't disappeared completely. It is there, it's just very faint. And when you see it contrasted against that brighter side of the moon, we really can't see anything there.
No.
In fact, it is still faintly lit because although Earth is putting itself between the sun and the moon, so it is blocking sunlight directly reaching that part of the moon, Earth does have an atmosphere, and that atmosphere glows when the sun lights it from behind, and it tends to glow a reddish color. So that dark half of the moon that we're looking at, it's not completely invisible. It's actually a very faint reddish color. We can't quite see it yet because that remaining silvery bit of the moon is just still too bright, and it's creating too much of a contrast. But as the silvery bit gets less and less, and eventually it's only going to be 4%, because that's the, it's a 96% eclipse. At that point, it's going to allow us to see much more clearly.
And already looking at the screen there, if we're looking at that little image up in the corner there, that one's more exposed for the bright side of the moon, and you can actually see it kind of.
Well, you can, yeah. I mean, you can absolutely. You can actually see the circular disk of the moon there. So it hasn't disappeared completely. It is exactly as you say. It's just a faint reddish color. This blue color that Thomas was talking about is, I mean, there is a lot in Earth's atmosphere. So generally it's glowing red, but around the very edge of the Earth's atmosphere, there's also a bluish glow, which is coming from chemicals in the upper part of Earth's atmosphere. So that sort of dividing line between the dark side and the brighter side of the moon, there's actually blue light that is being streamed towards the moon there. Again, impossible to see here just because that bright side of the moon is just too bright and too dazzling. But as we get closer and closer to maximum eclipse, when we're just left with that sort of very faint sliver of brighter moon on the right hand side, that's when we might get a chance to see a little band of blue between that silvery edge and then the fainter reddish part of the moon. But again, it remains to be seen. It is tough to spot.
It is tough to spot, and it can be also, it's also got to do with the way that you've got your telescope set up. It's got a lot to do with all little bits and bobs that you need to adjust, and like I said, like the exposure, how you expose the light for your viewing the moon. So there's a lot of things that play in. So we just have to see if we can see it. Another reason to keep watching. We still have the red moon to look forward to. On timeanddate.com you can find more about this eclipse. You can also find out more about the turquoise band. We've got our interview with Thomas there as well, so just go in and have a look. And there's a lot of other things happening in the night sky. Well, in the northern hemisphere we're really moving into the dark season here, so we're focusing on all the beautiful bright spots in the night sky that we can take a look at. So stay put. We're going to be back soon with more images and more commentary and more interviews, and we will see you back here soon.
La crema dental que yo recomiendo para sensibilidad, sin lugar a dudas, es Sensodyne.
This is timeanddate.com, and you are watching the final eclipse of 2026. It is a very deep partial lunar eclipse. Checking on our timeline on the left-hand side of the screen, maximum eclipse is at 0412 UTC. So that's around about 25 minutes from now. That's when that darker side of the moon is going to be covering 96% of the moon's disk. That's as deep as we get tonight. On the screen at the moment, we have in our main image, coming from the Time and Date Mobile Observatory in Seville, in Spain. This is Stefan Thorsen and Konstantin Bikos. Anna, there we can see, we've got that little sort of brighter part of the moon still on the right-hand side, but now the left side of the moon, we can start to see now that it's got that distinctive reddish tint.
Yes.
That we can see during a deep lunar eclipse. In the top right corner, we have an image there coming in from Medellin in Colombia. That's Andres Torres. Anna, it's looking different to the moon in Seville because it's looking at it from a different part of the world.
Exactly.
It's looking at it from closer to the equator. It's also a different time of night there. Here in Europe, in Spain, where the moon is heading down towards the horizon. In Colombia, it's still the middle of the night and the moon is much higher in the sky. Also, we have their picture coming in from Moncton in New Brunswick, Canada. That is Chris Kerwin and Mike Powell. And in both those images, we can just see that we've just got that little, that small sliver of brighter moon that will be getting slowly thinner and thinner over the next 20 minutes.
And you might have noticed that they're fine tuning their exposure. They're trying to kind of keep it so that we can see the eclipse. So they're really working hard there in the background for us.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Colombia is in a great position for tonight's lunar eclipse because it is the middle of the night. The moon is really nice and high in the sky. The challenge with Colombia, we always knew this, of course, is that they do have a lot of clouds in that part of the world. And we're so happy that we've got these wonderful clear skies in Medellin. Other parts of Colombia, it's more of a battle against the clouds, including in Bogota, where they're fighting the clouds there. And to hear all about this, we're going to go and have a chat now with Maria Gracia Batista. She's at the University of the Andes in Bogota. And okay, there she is on the screen now. Hi.
How are you guys? Very happy, very honored to be here with you.
Very, very nice to have you. And how is the eclipse going? Have you been able to see the moon a bit? And how? And where are you at the moment? And your backdrop is amazing. It looks like you're in an observatory there.
Thank you. Well, right now I'm streaming from the Astronomical Observatory of the Universidad de los Andes here in Bogota, Colombia, not Colombia, by the way. It's a very common confusion. And well, let me introduce you. The most important thing in here, and of course not me, is the telescope.
Wow.
It's the third biggest one in the country. It's a 16-inch telescope which is not that big, of course, comparing with other telescope around the world. But here in Colombia, the clouds and especially the seeing, the thermal stability of the atmosphere is not that good for having telescope of meters of diameter. So for our condition, 16 inches like good enough. Higher than that, bigger than that, we will need other optical instrument for
Yeah.
compacting the images. So it won't worth it.
No.
Yeah.
And yes, I've been able to see the moon like a few seconds around, and then it's cloudy again. So the battle
Oh.
that you mentioned,
Yeah.
just too accurate.
Fingers crossed that it'll clear up around max.
Yeah, absolutely.
My feet are already crossed already.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Maria, we've all been following the recent terrible news that's been coming out of Colombia. Could you tell us a little bit about how you and your colleagues across the country have been responding to the recent earthquakes?
Thank you for asking, Graham. And well, the situation was very hard for us because, well, at least here in the capital in Bogota, it was just the we were scared, the surprise of the situation, but we didn't struggle that much with damage in buildings and with houses. But in other places in Colombia, they took the worst part. I mean, the coffee region is really very damaged. Many people right now without their homes, with our school, with our places, markets and universities. So in here, everything is like going on like every day, but in those places, it's like time just stuck, and they are trying to, um, you know, recovering and start new, start over. And that's something that we try with astronomy, with the outreach, try to share like with this lunar eclipse and with other activities like beside the sad situation, still something pretty, something nice to think about, something to be amazed with the sky. So we use astronomy as a tool for have better thoughts and better feelings about what is happening.
Yeah, that's a beautiful message.
It is, and it's something that we also find that it's very unifying, and to have this awe looking up at the sky. So it's important to have these things in tough times. It's what a beautiful way to put it, Maria. Yeah, and you were talking about outreach, Colombian Astronomy Network. You've been doing amazing work for more than 20 years, and what are your favorite projects?
Well, I only have been part just half of that time, but still, in those 10 years, I'm very happy with how fast we have been growing, how fast, how strong the community have become, because we have been trying to focus to approach this outreach to work in the hand with the professors, with the teachers in different schools and university, try to settle new science clubs, so the students to get involved, because in here in Colombia, astronomy is not part of the main education program. So professors try to introduce astronomy in their subjects, and that's something that is very helpful because astronomy is very pretty, very interesting, very is part of the movies, is part of the books, is part of the news, with everything that is going on, with Artemis and with other lunar programs. So it's a good tool for the kids to relate science with something funny, with something friendly, something close, because normally science is like very scary, like it's very hard to understand with equations, with the numbers, something that they don't want to get involved with. So astronomy is a good tool to link different part of the science, and of course art. And I'm not able to connect with kitchen. That's the only thing with gastronomy. But besides that, I think astronomy can be linked with almost everything, and that's what we do. And of course, we outreach, on the streets, yeah, sharing the telescopes, the binoculars, the talks, visiting. So people don't only have to go to the planetaries, or come to the universities, to the observatories. So we go outside and share the what we know about astronomy, and of course those topics with is related with the university, so people can see the channel from the schools to do investigation, to do the research in a professional way. So last year we started with a PhD here in Colombia. So the message is that you don't have to leave your country if you want to become a professional astronomer here in Colombia.
That's great, and that's another super inspiring message there. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Maria, thank you so much for having a chat with us tonight. We are we're keeping everything crossed that you're going to get a break in the clouds. We're about 15 minutes away from maximum eclipse, so that's roughly the halfway point in tonight's eclipse. It's roughly the halfway point in our broadcast. We still have another 2 hours to go. So Maria,
Meet Cantabro. He doesn't understand our customers yet, but he heard you guys like.
Of course.
Before then. For now, we can see there, right, Moncton, Canada in the top right, Seville, Spain in the main image. We can see that, the moon is turning a kind of a very dull reddish color there. Anna, when we come back, we're going to be having a chat with Constantin Bikos, who is on the ground there in Seville, and he can tell us a little bit more about how the colors that he's seeing from on the ground there. But we still have 2 hours coming up, so don't go anywhere. Keep watching us. And Maria, thank you so much again for that great interview.
Thank you, guys.
And hey, we will be back soon.
call yourself a YouTuber? This raccoon eating grapes has more views than you've ever made. Combined. Bruh, he didn't even use a ring light. Look, the algorithm doesn't care about your efforts. It never did. But VFly does. Real views, real subscribers, real engagement, no bots, no shady stuff. And because they're an official Google partner, their growth actually sticks. And it starts just at $10. That's cheaper than my burger.
Use code FIRST50 for 50% extra views on your first campaign.
The raccoon didn't use a code, so don't be a raccoon.
you're watching almost a total lunar eclipse here on timeanddate.com. We have just passed maximum, and you know, if you feel like you missed it, you haven't. It's a gradual thing. We're looking at it. We're looking at what it's going to be looking at for a little while the Earth's inner dark shadow moves away from the moon's surface again. We're looking at a beautiful image here from San Diego in the US, from Gary from the San Diego Astronomy Association, and he's got that. The moon's kind of brownish there as well, so it seems to be a browny red moon this time.
Yeah, I mean, just a reminder there that I mean we're looking at three images there from San Diego, from Seville, from Moncton. We are all looking at the same eclipse. This is the same bit of the Earth's shadow on the same bit of the moon's face. We are seeing slightly different shading. That's because we're using different equipment at different locations. It's because the moon is at a different height in the sky. The atmospheric conditions are different. We're also seeing a different orientation there. We get that because people are looking at the moon from different perspectives on the Earth. I mean, Seville and San Diego, they're both in the Northern Hemisphere, but we can see that the orientation of the moon is different. That's because in San Diego, it's Thursday evening and the moon is rising. In Seville in Spain, it's early Friday morning and the moon is setting. And as the moon travels across the sky, it kind of rotates above us. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of, there's a lot of good astronomy on the screen here.
Definitely a lot of good astronomy on the screen. And it just shows that even though we're looking at the same moon, it can look slightly different. But we're looking at the same event at the same time, which is kind of nice and warm and fuzzy, I reckon. Here in Stavanger, the skies are really brightening, and I'm seeing some beautiful sunrise colors already on the sky. I did see a little break in the clouds, and I ran out to see if I could see something, but the break was in the wrong spot. So good call for us for cancelling Ada and her mobile observatory here in Stavanger. Sunrise is in about 15 minutes here in Stavanger, and also pretty close to sunrise in Spain, a little bit later than here. And we're going to be talking to Konstantin Bikos in our mobile observatory in Seville in Spain. I managed to say it. So Konstantin, see if we can get him. There he is. Hello, Konstantin.
Graham.
Hey. So it's 6:15 in the morning local time, and you know, you and Stefan have been doing another night shift, and how are you guys? How are you doing? How are you holding up?
Well, I guess we're running on fumes and energy drinks as always these trips. We had a really tight schedule this time. Not a lot of sleep, a lot of running around and driving around, obviously, and even now we're struggling and fighting to get you those pictures. We had some trouble with connectivity to send you the pictures basically to the main studio, and there's always something to be done, and we're getting a little bit tired now as well, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great adventure as always.
Yeah, I mean, you and Stefan have been on an epic eclipse chase in recent days. I mean, you know, we normally associate eclipse chasing with a solar eclipse where you just have to get to the right bit of the globe to see it. I mean, a lunar eclipse, it's visible from anywhere on the nighttime side of Earth. So in theory, it should be a lot simpler to catch. But I mean, there are other factors at play, and yeah, you and Stefan have had a bit of a struggle with this one.
Yes, lunar eclipses being easier is the theory. That's the operative word here. So I think here in Seville, in beautiful Andalusia, Spain, it's probably the only cloudless area in Western Europe at the moment. We really had a hard time this time finding that tiny gap in the clouds here in Europe. So what we normally do when we plan these trips is we look at the data of the eclipse itself, obviously where it is visible. We had to go as far west as possible in Europe without having to leave the continent, obviously, to be able to see the full eclipse before the moon sets. So that kind of limited us already a little bit. And then we looked at Western Europe, the cloud cover. That we have data on timeanddate.com, also for our users to see in the eclipse maps. You can see where it's most likely to be clear skies, and we all of that pointed to Portugal, which has not a lot of cloud cover normally, but yeah, the weather gods were against us this time, so we booked our flights to Portugal, but then it was clear from when the first reliable weather forecast started to tick in that it's not going to be the place to be, unfortunately. We would have liked to stream it from Portugal. So we flew to Lisbon, but had to go on another, as always, another big long road trip.
4.0 es el epicentro de todo tu trabajo y colaboración. Es el inicio de una nueva metacategoría de apps que definirá la próxima generación de software en la era de la IA y abre una nueva era de calidad y acabado en el producto de ClickUp. Siempre hemos dicho que usar ClickUp te ahorra un día a la semana, pero estoy seguro de que vas a ahorrar mucho más que eso con 4.0, porque cuando todo tu trabajo converge en una app, una pestaña, un entorno de trabajo con IA, todo simplemente hace clic.
It's looking good for now.
I'm exhausted listening, just listening to all that. Wow.
And as you say, there's always that weighing up between theory and practice. Like in theory, this is easier. In practice, it's different. And in theory, you have an hour and a half ago or so until the moon sets. In practice, you know, it's going to get lighter. There might be something on the horizon. What is your in practice situation where you are?
Yes, that's a good point. You know, we have quite sophisticated data and instruments that allow us to plan the location, the actual location of where we stream from. But what we can't plan for is the obstacles in the immediate vicinity of where we are. That's impossible to plan. So we can't plan for trees. And there's a big tree actually in our line of sight. So I think we will lose sight of the moon a little bit earlier than we had hoped, but maybe 10-15 minutes. But yeah, we're still going to see nearly to the end.
Oh, that's good. And another theory and practice thing is like the color of the moon, because we're looking at San Diego's moon here on the screen, and it's kind of brown, red, rusty, kind of almost not red, like it's very brown. And we're looking at a very silvery, almost purpley kind of moon from Spain there. So, but when you've been outside and looked up, what color do you see?
Yes, good question. The picture you see from here, from Seville in the corner there, is a little bit, we try to get out the colors a little bit more, so we expose it a little bit more. It's actually similarly to the eclipse earlier this year when we were in California. It's actually looks very, very dark. It looks a little bit more like the San Diego picture. So, and also because you have that sliver of really bright light at the edge, the dark side looks even darker now. So you can hardly actually see it in the sky. It looks very, very dark, brownish.
Wow. Well, then it's quite accurate what Gary's getting us there from San Diego.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's always different when you look at it yourself and you can kind of see everything at the same time. With the telescope, you have to decide how do you want to expose and how do you, and where do you want to, you know, put your focus. So it changes the way that the moon looks. So if you had a chance, I see that you're inside now, but I'm assuming you're outside monitoring the telescope most of the time, Constantine.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Well, we had to go inside for the interview because we're in a residential area and people are still sleeping around us. So I think we can see it.
That's very considerate of you. Well, we are moving into the second half of this eclipse. We're past max. The Earth's dark inner shadow is going to move away from the moon. And so there's still some show to go, an hour and a half-ish.
We're going to be talking to Gary Hawkins in San Diego next. So we can also get a naked eye report from on the ground in San Diego.
Yeah. So we will be back here very soon. Go to timeanddate.com and take a look at what we have there. And thank you, Constantine, for braving yourself in and talking to us this morning.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you. Bye.
Bye.
Lo real también está en el camino hasta tu mesa. Corona, chocolate colombiano hecho con cacao 100% real.
Llegó el cumpleaños Home Center con hasta 50% de ahorro en miles de productos. Ahorra y celebra en el cumpleaños Home Center. Compra por la app o homecenter.co.
watching an almost total lunar eclipse here on timeanddate.com. And we are looking at a beautiful eclipsed moon there from San Diego in California, USA. And yeah, the bright side is brightening and the dark side is darking, and it's just looking awesome. And we do have Gary Hawkins with us from San Diego. There he is, and he has been capturing these beautiful images of the eclipse full moon for us. And it's evening time in San Diego, Gary, and you managed to enjoy a bit of moonrise. And how has the eclipse been looking from the ground in Southern California?
Well, it's certainly the evening here. It's about 9:45. I'm sitting with my colleague, Dave Decker from the San Diego Astronomy Association. Dave is next to me. And this is kind of amusing, right? The telescope is about 25 feet away from where I am. But because of what I do these days in terms of science, I'm actually remoting into that scope. So I can't actually see the moon unless I get up, walk into the living room, and stare out through the door. So I'm only seeing what's on the screen at the moment. But when I have gone out, it's kind of fairly similar to what we're showing. There's a reddish hue on the dark side. We're kind of overexposing on the bright side at the moment.
Oh no. Oh, I think we lost him.
It looks like we've lost Gary in San Diego there. We'll just see if we can get him back.
Yeah.
This is story of modern day astronomy here. He's not actually outside peering into a telescope eyepiece. He's inside running everything remotely, and then he's actually got to walk outside to go and see the moon. But interestingly, yeah, his report on how it was actually looking in the sky was sounding similar-ish to Constantine's comments about how it was looking from on the ground in Spain.
And you can really see that up in the corner there from Seville, Spain. You can see the red brownish side of the moon there, and then that bright sliver of normal full moon, we can say, when the Earth's shadow is moving off moon surface, as we can see there. And there we've got Gary back. Gary, are you with us again?
It appears so. We appear to get blocked in the video feed there for a couple of seconds.
Excellent. Well, you're back, and that's great. And by the way, we were also.
Oh, and he's gone. Oh, it's.
You know what we're going to do? We're gonna go away, and we're gonna figure out what's happening with the connection through to California there, and then we're gonna come back momentarily, and we're gonna continue the interview with Gary. So we'll be back super shortly, and in the meantime, just enjoy that beautiful image of the moon from Gary's telescope in San Diego in the main screen, and we'll be back very shortly.
Oye, me acaba de llegar una alerta de fraude en la tarjeta. ¿Pasa algo?
Las finanzas dependen de la confianza y de soluciones 24/7 con un toque humano.
Por supuesto, bloqueamos una transacción hecha en el extranjero. Si no fuiste tú, te enviamos una nueva tarjeta de inmediato.
Ay, gracias a Dios. Muchísimas gracias. No, esa compra no la hice yo.
Detrás de cada interacción están tus procesos, sistemas de control estrictos y seguridad empresarial que garantizan conversaciones auténticas y confiables.
No te preocupes, tu dinero está a salvo. La nueva tarjeta ya fue enviada. ¿Deseas mantener tu PIN actual?
11 Labs Agents. Asistencia inteligente con un toque muy humano.
You're still watching almost a total lunar eclipse here on timeanddebt.com, and we've had a few hiccups with our connection there with Gary Hawkins, and he's back finally. And we were talking about what the moon looks like in the sky, and you were telling me that you had to go outside because you have a remote set up, and you told us a little bit about what the moon was looking like. But let's just recap that since we had all the fiddly bits in between.
Yes, so we started the evening with cloud. You can probably tell from my feed that's sitting in the top corner there that we've got cloud coming back through again. But in the period in between when we were at maximum eclipse, we were seeing a nice image of the moon, a nice red glow on the dark side. And somewhat overexposed even with the eye on the bright side of the moon. Yeah. So it was quite pretty here for about an hour, but as you can see, it's kind of got a bit smudgy again.
Yeah. By the way, we were also interested to know that your colleague from the San Diego Astronomy Association, Dave Decker, is there helping you with the stream tonight. That's great. Anna,
right next to me.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Well, do say hi. Yeah. Anna and I caught up with Dave at the in Texas at the
Great American Eclipse.
At the Great American Eclipse. So hi Dave. And now, I mean, Gary, when you're not streaming eclipses, your main interest in astronomy these days is to do with red dwarf stars. So what are those exactly?
So I guess for about the last 3 years now, I've been involved with a group called the Red Dwarf Group. We look at red dwarf stars. A red dwarf is a fairly cool star, and actually about 75% of the stars in our Milky Way are red dwarf stars. So they're most the star type that you see the most in the sky. And some of these stars are actually really interesting because of their fast rotational period. That creates a lot of magnetic stress in the chromosphere, and then that creates stellar flares. And so if you are a exoplanet orbiting one of these red dwarf stars, you're going to be affected by the flares kind of in the same way that we are affected by solar flares coming from the sun. The big difference, though, is that the type of flare that we can see on a red dwarf star is significantly larger than anything that you will see coming from the sun. To give you an example, last year, so 2025, we probably viewed the largest ground-based, it was probably the observation of the largest ground-based flare for a flare star. And basically within the period of about 3 minutes, the star increased in brightness associated with the flare by 67 times.
Wow.
Now, if you were obviously on the Earth and, you know, the sun suddenly increased in magnitude 67 times, I think it would be a pretty dramatic event. And that's what makes the study of this type of star really interesting, because if there are exoplanets, particularly if they sit within the Goldilocks zone, then there's obviously the possibility of life. And so we're, you know, basically the studies are all about looking at how life might survive in that type of environment.
Yeah. And the red dwarf group that you coordinate, this is a network of astronomers gathering data and observing these stars.
Yeah, so the Red Dwarf Group was formed back in 2021 and initially run by Bob Buckheim. Bob ran the group for about 2 and a bit years. And then I took over and I've been running the group since then. We have about, at any given point in time, probably about 20 active members, mainly observing from the US and Europe. We do actually have one observer at the moment who's got a remote site down in Chile. And we spend hundreds of hours of observing time looking at these red dwarf stars. And in particular, two. This time of year, our favorite star is a star called EV Lactera, more commonly known as EV Lac. And then in the winter period, we tend to look at a star called AD Leo. These are both very active flare stars. And to give you an example, my observatory actually runs completely autonomously. The observatory opens up when it gets dark. It will be on that star all night, probably imaging about once every 30 seconds. We collect thousands of images over that period of time and then do the analysis to see if we, you know, picked up flares. And then we might have 10, 15 scopes doing that, you know, across the US and European theaters at any given time. We're mainly an amateur group, but we are actually also working with the University of Colorado at the moment and Rice University. We've worked with Arizona State University in the past, and we definitely like to take the opportunity to work with, you know, some of our colleagues in the academic space as well, because obviously they can bring a lot of knowledge to the table, particularly on the physical aspects of what we're actually observing. And one of the reasons I think that, you know, our project is kind of interesting is the academic observers, they can't dedicate hundreds and hundreds of hours of observing time to look at these stars. They will look at the stars for a couple of nights and hope that they capture something interesting. There are, of course, space-based telescopes such as TESS that will look at these stars for 27-day periods. And they'll collect data in a, you know, for that 27 days, which is a lot of data, but it's still a small block. whereas we're able to collect data for, over multiple years. And that allows us to look at things like, do these flare stars exhibit similar sunspot cycles to what we see on the sun? Are there minimum and maximum? And so that requires long-term study. So yeah, it's a fascinating project. If anybody is out there listening and they want to get involved in the citizen science side, look up the Red Dwarf Group, particularly through the AAVSO, which is the American Association of Variable Star Observers, and get in contact with me, and we'll be happy to have you on board.
Well, that's a great message to put out, and and that is fascinating work. And I mean, Anna, it is amazing. I mean, astronomy is one of those branches of science where the amateur sector does such amazing work and makes such important contributions to the field.
And I do think that eclipses do the same, like especially the solar eclipse we had a couple of weeks ago. I can imagine reaching a whole new audience of young, aspiring astronomers getting excited about what's happening in the sky. And I've been super excited about this eclipse season. It's really fun to have one where you can get a total solar eclipse and such a deep lunar eclipse as this, having two very good eclipses in the same season. And I'm also super excited about eclipses to come in the next couple of years. We're in a run of solar eclipses at the moment. We've got an annular eclipse and a total solar next year, and it goes on and on. And you can check out all those eclipses on timeanddate.com. You can go in and see eclipses way into the future, like way past my lifespan at least. We're also going to talk a little bit about upcoming eclipses when we get back. Thank you so much, Gary, for hooking up with us and telling us all about the moon and about the red dwarfs. And we will be back soon.
Yeah, so
you're still watching almost total.
Si compras tu celular libre en Alcos Picatronics, te lo aseguramos totalmente gratis. Solo por si acaso. Por si tu perro lo coge de juguete. A tu celular cualquier cosa le puede pasar. Pero por si acaso, cómpralo en Alcos Picatronics y llévalo con un seguro contra daño accidental totalmente gratis.
Same in San Diego and same in Seville in Spain. So it's all.
Mi trabajo es fácil porque uso Clica. Así es como llevo el control de todas mis tareas. Empiezo vaciando.
Constantine has a tree in his line of sight for the mobile observatory. So we're hoping to keep those images from Seville and Spain up running as soon as we can. We were talking to Gary in a break here, and he promised to keep his images running for as long as we needed them, because his moon is still moving up in the sky while the moon in Spain is moving down under the horizon. So yeah, same moon but different places on Earth. We're also coming to the end of this eclipse season. Eclipse seasons are only like 6 months apart, so we don't really have too long of a wait. And we are in a beautiful run of solar eclipses now. We had this wonderful one 2 weeks ago in Spain, and there are a couple more coming up, right?
That's right. So eclipses come in pairs. When we have a lunar eclipse, like tonight, that happens at full moon. When we have a lunar eclipse, we will also find at a new moon next door, either the new moon before or the new moon after, we will find a solar eclipse. And as you say, Anna, this happens roughly 6 months apart. So roughly speaking, we have a couple of these eclipse pairs per year. And interestingly, we see a shift in the balance of how the Earth, Moon, and Sun align. So if we have a really good solar eclipse, it tends to give us a not quite perfect lunar eclipse, a partial eclipse or a penumbral eclipse. Likewise, if we have a really a perfect long total lunar eclipse, that normally gives us just a partial solar eclipse somewhere on the globe. And yeah, we see that the balance kind of slowly shifts over a couple of years, and we are entering a couple of years where we do have a really good run of solar eclipses, accompanied by not such deep lunar eclipses. So coming up 6 months from now, we have an annular solar eclipse. An annular solar eclipse is where the moon is a little bit further away from Earth, and so it's a little bit smaller in the sky. It's not big enough to cover the sun completely, so we're left with this sort of bright ring of sunlight around the dark moon. We have that on February 6th next year. The path of annularity, where you can see this ring of fire, as it's called, that is going to sweep across the southern bit of South America and then go across the Atlantic and just reach the west coast of Africa. Our good friend in Chile, Thomas Puzia, at the Institute of Astrophysics at PUC, there is we're hoping he's going to be able to put together an expedition.
He's already getting excited about that, so we're putting the pressure on so that Thomas can put together an expedition so he can catch the eclipse for us from Chile.
Exactly right. 6 months after that, on August 2nd,
off to Spain.
We're off to Spain again. This is another total solar eclipse. Here, the path of totality, it crosses the very southern tip of Spain, the northern bit of Morocco and North Africa, then goes across Egypt, and includes 6.5 minutes of totality near Luxor in Egypt.
Shivers.
Really one of the big total solar eclipses of the century.
Yes.
6 months after that, going into 2028, we have another annular solar eclipse on January 26th. Here, the path of annularity, it goes across the northern bit of South America, and then it goes across the Atlantic, and it just reaches Europe, Spain again, that it just reaches before sunset, and the path of annularity comes to an end. And then 6 months after that, July 22nd in 2028, another total solar eclipse. This one is well, it's a big Australia and New Zealand show. The path of annularity going across Australia, including the city of Sydney, Australia, and then across to New Zealand, where the city of Dunedin will see totality. And for that one, we're going to be teaming up again with our old friend Matt Woods at Perth Observatory in Australia.
And he's been working with us, I don't know how many times now. So, but he's lining himself up there, right up with the eclipses, and we've got Matt right up there with the eclipses as well. And speaking of Matt, there's going to be a lunar eclipse after this run of solar eclipses. The balance is going to shift again just a little bit, and on New Year's Eve, we call it the New Year's blood moon already, in December 31st, 2028, there's going to be a big lunar eclipse again, and it's going to be seen in Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia. We have Matt Woods lined up for that as well. So lots and lots and lots of fun eclipses to come. And it sounds really far away and into the future, but suddenly they're there. Like, it just happens so quickly. And we are nearing the end of this eclipse, and that's why I like to comfort myself with all these other eclipses coming up. But as mentioned, Time and Date has all you need to know about eclipses coming up on our website. So go to timeanddate.com and take a look. And make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get all these events live from Graham and I here at the Time and Date studio, either out in the field or here in Stavanger HQ. And don't go anywhere yet, because we're going to pop up on your screen once more before the Earth's shadow has left the moon's surface. So we will see you soon.